Every time you click buy or sell, someone on the other side is betting on your failure. Not out of hatred or spite, but because the only way they win is if you don't. That's the reality of how markets work. And the sooner you stop pretending this is some collaborative wealth-building exercise and start seeing it for what it actually is, a zero-sum battlefield, the sooner you stop being prey and start becoming a predator. In derivatives markets, every single dollar you make comes directly out of someone else's account. There is no economic value being created. There is no product being manufactured. There is no service being rendered. Money is simply being redistributed. When you go long on a futures contract and the price goes up, congratulations. The person who took the other side of that trade just lost exactly what you made. When you lose, someone else is popping champagne. The stock market is slightly more nuanced. You can argue that holding equities long-term contributes to real economic growth, and there's truth in that. But you're not a pension fund. You're an active trader. The moment you start buying and selling based on charts and setups and signals, you have entered a zero-sum ecosystem. In active trading, you're not competing with the company whose stock you're buying. You're competing with the person who sold it to you, the market maker who filled your order, the hedge fund that laid a trap at exactly the level where you put your stop loss. This is the part that changes everything once you truly internalize it. You're not trading against a chart. You're not trading against an algorithm in a vacuum. You are trading against other human beings and institutions who are smarter, better capitalized, better informed, and significantly more ruthless than you, and they are actively trying to take your money. This isn't just pessimism. This is the map, and you can't navigate without an accurate map. Part 1. Who you're actually trading against. Let's talk about who's sitting across the table from you, because understanding your opponent is step 1 of any predatory strategy. Market makers. They have access to the order book, they can see where your stops are, and they have the capital to push price into those zones, collect the liquidity, and reverse. This is called a stop hunt. It is not a conspiracy theory. It is a business practice. Hedge funds and institutions. They operate with billions, PhDs, and proprietary data feeds you'll never see. Their strategy revolves around identifying where retail sentiment is concentrated and positioning against it. Algorithms. High-frequency systems operate in microseconds. They don't panic. They don't revenge trade. You are carving out an edge against machines that have been optimized by engineers for years. Retail money is the fuel that powers institutional profit. You are, if you're not careful, a food source. I want you to think about poker for a second. If you sit down at a poker table and you don't know who the fish is, you're the fish. Trading is the same. And most people watching this video right now are sitting at the table wondering why they keep losing. We're going to fix that. Stay with me. Part 2. The Machiavellian Mindset. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote The Prince in 1513. It was a manual for navigating political power in a world that operated by hidden rules, where appearances were engineered to mislead, where strength was performed rather than displayed, and where the naive were consistently destroyed by those who understood what was actually happening beneath the surface. The core insight was this: the world presents itself one way to the untrained eye, and a completely different way to the person who knows how to read it. That is exactly what a price chart is. To the untrained eye, a chart looks like a record of what happened and a signal of what's likely to come next. When a candle is big and green and bullish and price is breaking out above a key level with volume, it looks like a buy signal. When price is crashing, the news is terrible, candles are bleeding red, and every analyst is calling for further downside. It looks like a sell signal. And this is precisely the problem, because charts look most bullish at tops, and they look most bearish at bottoms. The very moment the chart appears to give you the clearest signal is often the very moment that signal is the most dangerous. This is not accidental. This is the deception. Think about what a market top actually looks like as it's forming. Price has been going up for weeks or months. The most recent candles are large, confident, decisive. Momentum indicators are elevated. The breakout looks clean and convincing. Retail traders, conditioned by recency bias to believe that what has been happening will continue to happen, look at that chart and see strength. They buy. And they're buying at exactly the moment that the people who drove that price up are quietly selling to them. Now think about what a market bottom looks like. Price has been falling hard. The candles are ugly. There's panic. There is news flow that explains and justifies the move lower. Every indicator is pointing down. The chart looks like a cliff, and it feels insane to do anything other than sell. So retail traders sell. They capitulate. They dump their positions at the absolute worst time, directly into the hands of institutions that have been waiting patiently to accumulate at exactly these prices. This is the Machiavellian truth of technical trading. Charts don't lie in the sense that the price data is false. The data is real. They lie in the sense that the picture they paint at any given moment is almost always most convincing when it is most misleading. A chart at a top is designed through the natural mechanics of how institutional accumulation and distribution work to look like it's going higher. A chart at a bottom is designed to look like it's going lower. The untrained eye reads the chart as a window into future price movement. The trained eye reads it as a crime scene, trying to reconstruct what actually happened, who was behind it, and what they're likely to do next. The predatory trader doesn't ask, what does this chart look like? They ask, what is this chart trying to make me do? And is that actually the right thing to do? Part 2. How institutions hunt retail traders. You need to understand the mechanics of how money is taken from retail traders, because if you understand the mechanism, you can stop being on the wrong side of it. Liquidity pools. This is the core concept. In any market, price moves to where there is liquidity. Liquidity is just a fancy word for orders, specifically clusters of orders that can be used to fill large institutional positions. And where do retail traders predictably cluster their orders? Around obvious levels. Above recent highs where breakout traders put their buy stops. Below obvious support where everyone puts their stop losses. Around round numbers, because human psychology gravitates toward round numbers like 1.2000 in Forex or $50 in stocks. Institutions know this. So what they do is engineer price to move into those zones, trigger all those orders, use that order flow to fill their own large positions at favorable prices, and then reverse. If you have ever seen price spike above a key high only to immediately sell off, or crash below a key support only to immediately reverse and rip higher, you've watched a liquidity hunt in real time. You weren't imagining it. It was deliberate. The retail sentiment trap, and why accumulation and distribution are inherently deceptive. This is the one that I want you to sit with, because it directly connects to everything we just said about charts lying to you. Accumulation is the process by which institutions build large long positions before a major move higher. Distribution is the process by which institutions unload those positions before a major move lower. And the reason both of these processes work, the reason institutions can do this repeatedly without retail traders catching on, is because accumulation is engineered to look like a downtrend and distribution is engineered to look like an uptrend. Let that sink in. When institutions are accumulating, quietly buying a large position in an asset, they cannot simply place one massive buy order. That would spike the price immediately, and they'd fill their entire position at terrible prices. Instead, they accumulate incrementally over days, weeks, sometimes months. And to accumulate at low prices, they need sellers. So what happens to price during accumulation? It looks weak. It drifts sideways. It makes occasional new lows that shake out nervous retail holders. The news during accumulation periods tends to be negative because institutions need a narrative that keeps retail sellers selling. The chart looks like a downtrend or a dead market going nowhere. It looks like something you'd want to sell or avoid. That is the deception. The asset is being loaded up by the smartest money in the room, and every visual signal on the chart is pointing away from that truth. Distribution works the same way in reverse. When institutions are distributing, unloading their positions after a major rally, they need buyers. And retail traders provide those buyers in abundance, because at this point price has been going up for a long time. The chart looks strong. Momentum is positive. The news is optimistic. Financial media is covering the asset. Social media is full of people talking about how much money they've made. Everyone feels good. The chart is screaming buy. And that is precisely when institutions are selling every single ounce of their position into the hands of the retail traders who are piling in, high on FOMO, convinced they're getting in on the continuation of a great trend. This is not subtle. This is the oldest playbook in the book. Richard Wyckoff documented the mechanics of accumulation and distribution over 100 years ago, and the pattern still plays out every single day across every market, because human psychology hasn't changed. Retail traders are wired to buy strength and sell weakness. Institutions depend on that. The entire deception of accumulation and distribution relies on it. The chart at the top of a distribution phase looks incredible. The chart at the bottom of an accumulation phase looks terrible. Both are lies. Both are traps. And retail traders, reading the chart at face value, walk into them every single time. False breakouts. A close cousin of the liquidity hunt. Price approaches a key level, a resistance that everyone is watching. It pushes through. Retail breakout traders pile in, convinced this is the start of a big move. 2 candles later, price reverses and closes back below the level. Stop losses are triggered. Retail is out. Institutions got their fill. This pattern repeats across every time frame, every market, every asset class. Not occasionally, but constantly. Part 4. Developing your predatory edge. So how do you actually implement this? How do you stop being the hunted and start being the hunter? Here are the principles. Trade against obvious retail sentiment. When the crowd is overwhelmingly leaning one way, start asking questions. Not because contrarian trading is automatically correct. It isn't. But because extreme one-sided positioning is a warning sign that institutions may be positioned the other way. Tools like the Commitment of Traders Report, retail sentiment indicators from brokers, and options positioning data can give you a window into where the crowd is leaning. When you see 80% of retail traders long on a currency pair, that's not a buy signal. That's a flashing yellow light. Hunt where retail traders are trapped. Learn to identify where retail stops are clustered. If price has been respecting a support level for weeks, and that level has been tested multiple times, retail traders have their stops just below it. Institutions know this. They may push below that level to grab those stops before reversing higher. As a predatory trader, you don't put your stop at the obvious level. You put it where the crowd isn't. Or better yet, you wait for the liquidity grab, the false break below support, and enter as price snaps back above. You're using the liquidity hunt as your entry signal rather than being the victim of it. Use higher time frame context to understand institutional intent. Institutions plan their trades on daily, weekly, and monthly charts. Retail traders stare at 5-minute charts and wonder why they keep getting chopped up. If you overlay your short-term setups on a higher time frame context, you dramatically improve the odds that you're aligned with institutional flow rather than fighting it. A short-term bearish setup in the context of a strong daily uptrend is a low-probability trade. You're fighting the people with the bigger guns. A short-term bearish setup at the top of a major weekly range. After price has printed exhaustion signals, now you might be trading alongside the people who are distributing. Protect your downside relentlessly. Your capital is your ability to hunt. If you blow your account, you are out of the game. Every predatory trader has position sizing rules they do not break. Never risk more than 1 to 2% of your account on a single trade. Not because the trade isn't good, but because even your best setups can be wrong, and no single loss should put you in a compromised position. Keep a predator's patience. A crocodile waits hours without moving for the right moment to strike. Most retail traders overtrade. They feel compelled to be in the market constantly because sitting in cash feels like missing out. But idle capital is not losing capital. Learning to sit on your hands and only act when multiple factors converge is one of the highest value skills in trading. Part 5. Rewiring your psychology. You can understand every concept I've just described and still blow up your account. Because trading is not primarily an intellectual exercise. It is a psychological one. And this is where most educational content fails you. It gives you strategies, but doesn't address the biological machinery that will override those strategies the moment real money is on the line. Here's what happens when you enter a trade with real money. Your limbic system activates. Your threat detection circuitry perceives financial risk as a physical threat. Cortisol spikes. Your amygdala starts screaming. Rational thought goes out the window. You override your stop. You cut your winner early. You make decisions based on fear and greed that bear no relationship to your carefully constructed trading plan. This isn't a moral failing. This is human biology. A predatory trader understands this and builds systems that minimize the window for emotional decision-making. Pre-trade commitment. Before you ever enter a trade, every decision is made in advance. Entry price, stop-loss level, profit target, position size. These are not negotiated in real time while the trade is live. They are locked in before price touches your entry. The more decisions you make while you're in a trade, the more vulnerable you are to emotional override. Rules-based trade management. Once you're in the trade, your rules govern behavior, not your feelings. If your rule is to move your stop to break even when price reaches a certain level, you do that automatically. If your rule is to take partial profits at a set target, you do that without debate. Rules are the cage that keeps your emotional brain from wrecking the work your rational brain did during planning. Post-trade journaling without self-judgment. Predators learn from every hunt, whether successful or not. After every trade, record what the setup was, why you entered, how you managed it, and what happened. Over time, this journal becomes a goldmine of data about your own tendencies and biases. What do you consistently take profits too early? What do you consistently hold losers too long? The journal tells you without the emotional distortion that memory alone creates. Here's a hard truth. Most people who watch videos like this feel great for about 24 hours. Then they sit down at their platform and make the exact same emotional mistakes they always have, because insight alone doesn't change behavior. Repetition, rules, and discipline change behavior. That's what separates the people who talk about trading from the people who actually win at it. Being a predatory trader is not about being a bad person. It's about having clarity. Clarity about what you've walked into. Clarity about who your competitors are and how they operate. Clarity about your own psychological vulnerabilities and how to design around them. Clarity about what an actual edge looks like and how to apply it with consistency and patience over time. The Machiavellian insight, the one that Machiavelli himself was trying to communicate to people navigating the brutal political landscape of Renaissance Italy, is that wishful thinking gets you killed. The world operates by certain realities, and you have two choices: accept those realities and navigate them skillfully, or pretend they don't exist and suffer the consequences. Markets are not different. The traders who win long-term are not necessarily the smartest or the most educated. They're the ones who see the game most clearly, who manage their own psychology most effectively, who are most consistent in applying their edge, who are most willing to lose a battle to win the war, who wait with the patience of predators for the moment when every factor aligns, and then strike without hesitation. That is the predatory mindset. That is what this game demands. And if you're willing to develop it genuinely, with discipline and time and honest self-assessment, then you are no longer the prey that this market was designed to consume. You are a different kind of participant entirely. If this video shifted something in how you see markets, drop a comment and tell me what hit hardest. Share this with someone who's been struggling in their trading, because the information in this video is the stuff that usually takes years of losses to figure out on your own.